This is the ultimate guide to paid maternity leave.
So if you want to understand maternity leave letters, how much you qualify for paid parental leave, or if you can even buy a home while you're on maternity leave or pregnant, then get ready for this guide. Let's jump right in.
Number one, maternity letter. So Jaden, walk me through what I need to do with my employer so that I ensure I get the paid maternity leave.
Yeah, so as an employee, you're obligated to give your employer at least 10 weeks notice that you're gonna go on maternity leave. Now by that stage, it's gonna be pretty obvious that you're pregnant, but all it takes is just a simple letter to your manager or to the HR team, date, put your name, your details, outlining roughly when you expect that the baby's due, how long you're intending to take off for maternity leave, and roughly when you wanna go back to work. Also, your employer can ask for a medical certificate or doctor certificate to confirm that you're pregnant. So it's probably worth just having that in hand just in case they ask for it.
Number two, am I eligible for the paid parenting leave through the government? So Jaden, talk me through what I need to do and how I can be sure that I qualify.
Yeah, so it's awesome. In Australia, we've got the Paid Parental Leave scheme. So there's a couple of caveats on that, but let me explain what it is. Basically, you're eligible for up to 18 weeks pay at minimum wage while you're pregnant to help cover the costs of having the baby and that sort of stuff. The other awesome thing is that your partner, and it can be same-sex partner, it can be husband, spouse, whatever it is also eligible for up to 2 weeks paid parental leave or spousal leave to cover that. So in total, you can be eligible for up to 20 weeks paid leave under the Paid Parental Leave scheme.
What are the criteria to meet this paid maternity leave?
Yeah, so with the Paid Parental Leave scheme, there are a few criteria. Number one is you need to have earned less than $150,000 in taxable income. Number two is that you need to have worked continuously for at least 10 of the last 13 months in the past year, just to show that you've been working and not been ad hoc here and there. And number three is that you need to have worked at least 330 hours in that last 10-month period. The awesome thing here is even if you're casual, if you're self-employed, if you're a contract worker, you still qualify for the Paid Parental Leave scheme as long as you tick those criteria. Now, these are changing all the time, so make sure you check out the government's website, have a look at Centrelink, and just make sure you're definitely eligible for the Paid Parental Leave scheme.
So, you're probably asking how much you're gonna get paid for the paid parental scheme. Well, it's $719 per week.
And 35 cents, don't forget the 35 cents. But the awesome thing is that if you and your partner qualify, you can get up to 20 weeks paid leave, which is over $14,000. So it really makes a difference, especially having a kid going through at the moment. It's not cheap. Every extra dollar really helps get through that whole process.
You're wanting to buy a house and you're pregnant. Well, the good news is we can still help. Jaden, walk me through what the banks are after and what they're looking for when you are expecting.
Yeah, so generally speaking, the best time to apply for a loan is while you're pregnant. It's actually while you're still working. The banks can be a lot more flexible around this because at the end of the day, they're giving you a loan over a 30-year period and they understand that you might only have a little bit of time off. Now there's a few caveats here.
So the first caveat is the banks want to understand what your plans are. Typically, they would ask for a letter from your employer as to when you're going to be going back to work. So if you had grand plans to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years off, unfortunately, the banks won't be utilizing your income in the assessment.
Well, and also your employer is only legally obligated to keep your job open for 12 months. So just keep that in mind when you're doing planning, because that's all, it comes back to that as well, having a bit of a plan before you take the time off and you go off and have your kid.
If you plan to take 6 months off, well, the good thing is that banks can utilize your current income in the assessment, so long as your role that you're going back to will be the same circumstances. So if you're working 38 hours a week, full time, and on your base salary of let's say 50 grand, and you intend to go back to that role and your employer's confirmed it, well then that income can be used in an assessment.
Yeah, so the good thing is you can actually get these loans while you're pregnant if you've got sort of 20% deposit and less. There's a bit more flexibility around that, but there are certain banks that just won't do it and will decline your loan. So definitely talk to a mortgage broker who has a bit of understanding about this, because it can lead to a couple of dramas if you don't know where to go and who to speak to. So Nathan, what happens once you've had the bub? Once Monique, she's on maternity leave and wants to apply for a home loan, can we still buy a house if she's on maternity leave?
The good news is yes, you can. So the banks look at a number of different factors. They look at your previous employment history, they look at your current employment history, and if you've got a letter from your employer confirming you're going back, and they also want to see that you've got a bit of cash behind you to meet in the differential between now that you're not working and if you're going back to 6 months, that you can afford to bridge the gap.
Yeah, so the way they do this is they look at how much your income is. So say you're earning $1,000 a month and how much your expenses are going to be. So say it's costing you $1,100 per month. So there's a $100 gap there that you're short. They just need to make sure that you've got enough money to cover the next 13 months while you're potentially off in that shortfall. So it's all options there. Like we said before, every bank is a bit different with their maternity leave policy. Some banks will only let you apply for a loan once you're going back to work in the next sort of 90 days. Others are fine if you're not returning to work in the next 12 months, as long as you've got that letter confirming it. So again, strongly suggest you talk to a mortgage broker if you're on maternity leave, or even if you're pregnant, to do a bit of planning there and understand what you're gonna need and potentially what the next 12 months look like if you're looking at buying a home.
So what if you've got a home loan already and you're expecting bub, or you've recently had bub and you're finding things a little bit tough? Well, the good news is there are banks out there that are far more flexible when you're on maternity leave. Jaden, can you please explain?
There's two options here. So option number one is some banks will let you increase your loan while you're on maternity leave to cover some shortfalls, and they understand that you've got extra costs in there. You got to pay for that expensive car seat, the baby bjorn, all that stuff that I know that I'm slowly collecting at home. The second option is some banks actually even go one step further and they'll give you a 50% reduction in your mortgage repayments while you're on maternity leave. So what that actually means is, say if you're meant to be paying $2,000 a month on your mortgage repayments, the bank will say, all right, we understand that you might only have half your income coming in, we'll reduce your mortgage repayment to $1,000. So over the next 12 months, you save $12,000 in repayments. What they'll do is once you get back to work, they'll recalculate your repayments and do it then. So you're not making your repayments, they basically just leave it on top of the loan, but it just helps with your cash flow and your income while you've got your time off, and you can really enjoy the time with the baby and not have to worry about your mortgage and managing that.
So think of it more as a deferred payment, because you do end up making that payment back. However, it gives you a bit of wiggle room and breathing room whilst you're down to one wage. So that's it for today, guys. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to contact us at huntergalloway.com.au.